Welcome to the Nerd Party.
I'm Darren Moser.
I'm Philip Gilfus.
I'm Daniel Prue.
And this is City Alpha 3.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to SETI Alpha 3, a Star Trek podcast here on the Nerd Party Network. I am your host, Daniel Prue, and joining me, as always, are Darren and Philip. Guys, I would say you look a little more animated than usual, but we have been covering Lower Decks. I will say you look a little more 3D animated than usual. So
the shading on your face, Philip, is so nice.
well, my delta is a little higher, so.
Oh.
How was your Star Trek weeks? Did you guys do anything? Well, I mean, Philip moved countries, so continents. We moved. So how was all that, Philip? Did you have fun?
Hopped in the transporter, right? Pushed the button, it was done. It was that easy.
Yeah, just like Picard, just walked through the shoosh, shoosh. I had read some Star Trek books. I'm trying to remember because I'm doing my novelizations that I was reading through, and then just been reading some other genre books like Dresden Files. Then there's a Babylon 5 book I was going to start, which I still may start, but like it's book one. And I was like, let me buy the other books in the series, and it's like $59. I'm like, apparently this is like pulp gold that I have of these Babylon 5 books. I guess it must not be in print, but so I put the uniforms I had packed into the closet or in the wardrobe. Does not go to Narnia, I checked. And I already booked tickets for Destination Star Trek, so I'll be going to London in a few weeks to my first Star Trek convention. Because it's actually a Star Trek convention. I don't think I've been to a Star Trek convention probably since Vegas years ago at this point. I mean, because I've been to sci-fi conventions and Doctor Who conventions, but not like a dedicated Star Trek convention, so should be good.
Have you set up a rendezvous with Lee, another podcaster from the network? I mean, you guys are on the same island
time zone
now, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he said he had thought he was going to go for work because he's going to be in London anyway, but I just don't think he'll make it. But yeah, it should be fun. I've already hooked up with some of email and Facebook with the Starfleet chapter, Starfleet International SFI, that are here in the UK. So
how does that work? Do you start as an ensign again? And you have to work your way back up?
Climb your way up, huh?
No one can take away my pips.
I was a captain, so I'm sorry your previous captain is going to get demoted out now that I'm here.
Yes, we do combat.
trial by combat.
Except it's the Vulcan combat like Michael did that one time.
Oh, where it's like discussing against the other person with extreme vigor.
What about you, Darren, over there on the sunny West Coast? We just talked. You said it was getting a little chillier.
I say
60s.
I was gonna say I said by it's California standard, so it's like low 80s, high 70s. No, it's the biggest difference is the swing of the temperature. Now it'll get down to like 60s or something at night and then swing back up during the day. That's really the big difference.
It's 45 right now.
Winter. Stop saying centigrade, Philip. We don't care.
Wait a minute.
We're not going to.
I'm not learning that. I still have it in Fahrenheit.
Just do everything in Kelvin, okay? It's more Star Trek that way. But no, yeah, we've been. I do have them pre-ordered and downloaded the Star Trek Coda books, but I haven't gotten into them yet. I'm finishing up a few other audiobooks before I get to that. From what I hear is it kind of is wrapping up the not non-canon, but like, the Star Wars or the Star Trek books continued on, and obviously the stories we've seen of Picard and the DS9 people, those aren't as explicitly tied to the show, and they're also the show books, which are specifically tied to the show. And I think what I've heard is that this Coda trilogy is kind of wrapping up that part of those kind of books. And I don't know if that means that they're not going to have those anymore, because I could see you could have a listener or a reader and be like, oh yeah, well Picard did this in this book. And then do they have to talk about that in Star Trek Picard, which takes place after. So we'll see. I mean, I feel like there's room for both, but if they want to wrap it up, that's totally fine. They've been great stories and interesting tales. So it sounds like they're trying to go out with a bang and have some big galaxy-wide dramatic event.
Is it going to be like an anomaly? Because that would be like a really galaxy.
There's going to be like a red anomaly and some shuttles involved. I think. No, I don't really know at all. I think there's time jumping or something is going on.
I was just curious. Like, is the idea to like somehow kind of marry the book world?
I really don't know. I'll have to let you know after I read it. But it from the gist of what I've gotten from the very little I've seen. It's some sort of across time, across space, like people from different times and places are pulled together for this mission and I'm like, that sounds awesome. Like, I'm really looking forward to reading it. But, and then it's like 3 different authors over 3 books, 1, 2, and 3 to tell this story. And they're all coming out pretty close to each other. I think the first 2 have dropped. Maybe all 3 have at this point. But, so I'm looking forward to reading that. After I finish up a few other books, but it's also been fun watching new Star Trek with Lizzie. So Peter's still a little young for Prodigy. Not that he can't handle it; it's more just attention span. It's just not as interesting to him. But Lizzie, she loves Murph. Murph is her favorite.
He's very popular.
Let me do the introduction.
Oh, wait, okay. We'll transition.
Because we haven't even talked about it yet.
There's new Star Trek, guys.
There's new Star Trek.
What?
Not just a new Star Trek episode, but a whole new show. Yay! Yes, of course. We were off the past week or so due to Philip's move and other things going on. So, but we are here now to talk about the Nickelodeon vehicle, Star Trek Prodigy. The first, I guess, officially 3 episodes have aired, although, depending on how you want to count.
I never see them splitting 1 and 2. It's just, I don't see them doing it, but.
Yeah.
When syndication comes, Darren, no, kidding.
However you want to count it, I guess, because the first episode was double length and it was kind of a single thing. Then of course we had the third episode as well. So we're going to talk about both of them. But first things first, let's just get kind of an overall impression. And Darren, since you kind of led the pack here, why don't you go ahead and start talking about it, since we already know that your daughter is a fan. But go ahead and give us...
Well, I said she was a fan of Murph. I mean, she hasn't gone that deep.
She's like, shut up, Janeway. More Murph.
Well, there's barely any Janeway. And we have watched all of the shows so far. And we get more of hologram Janeway in the second, third. So hard to
in the second adventure.
Second adventure, yeah. No, overall, I'm really liking it. It's it's definitely not Lower Decks. It is not. And I did screen it before. So I've watched it twice. I watched it once before watching it with Elizabeth. Just because you never know with new shows nowadays, like
what they consider.
Yeah, like they're like, oh yeah, this is how we're gonna do it. But no, it's. I wasn't as worried. It's Nickelodeon and stuff like that. But yeah,
just in terms of that though, like just because you brought it up and sorry to interrupt, but like I actually did think it was a bit dark, not like too heavy, but like the bad guy and like.
I mean, you
like
you
slavery and.
Well, yeah, there is that, but again, I'm watching it a second time, and you look at the actual things they say. They're purposely kind of vague. They're like, if you don't give me the answers, then I'm going to turn you over to so and so. Like, I mean, torture is what they're going to do, but they're not going to say it.
Tickle, I mean.
Yeah, and it's. I think. Obviously, I wouldn't describe it as dark. It's just more intense, and the consequences are big. They just, but then we're on the ship and flying away, and oh look, let's laugh at the Tellarite and break up the mood and be happy about it. But I was more just nowadays a lot of shows really are pushing like messages and things like that, and just being like, okay, this is not about Star Trek. It's more about this thing that we're trying to get across. And I was happy that obviously I like the messages of Star Trek and the community and the Federation and all of that, but I'm glad that that's what they were sticking to. That's what they were pushing. Even though apparently we don't want to join the Federation, I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure we're going to eventually make it there.
Well, I was
yeah,
interested because with episode 1, 2, but anyway,
the pilot and the second episode.
Yeah, the pilot, because if that pilot wasn't good, it wasn't going to get made. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But there wasn't, to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, there wasn't any lesson in the first one. It's just like, hey, here's all the characters and here's the premise. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying. Right. And then the latest episode was sort of like, the lesson was ask for help. I'm not trying to redo it, but and I thought that was a good.
It's very simple and clear. You know exactly what the message is.
So I'm wondering if there is going to be sort of and this is not a bad thing. Adult Star Trek does this too. But if there's going to be sort of a lesson based in every episode,
could be. Yeah, it's like don't mess with red matter. and
red matter means drugs.
Don't.
Are we going to get another episode?
Don't violate the space-time. Don't provoke the Borg.
The Prime Directive is the analogy for bedtime, isn't it?
I watched the pilot, and I didn't think it's dark, but I do think it's darker than I was expecting for like a Nickelodeon show. And it's darker in tone, certainly, than Lower Decks is. Obviously, Lower Decks is just a bunch of jokes. So it was just, I was just taken aback. I just wasn't expecting it. And then honestly, the pilot really felt, and I told you guys this to me, but it was like, I thought I was watching a Star Wars show. Like it really, really, really felt like, to me, at least in the beginning, and then of course the second episode definitely shifted that. But it's this ragtag group of people, fighting up against whatever this guy and his organization is. But I was like, oh, okay, which was fine. It's not a bad thing.
And now the kids are like, never tell me the odds.
It's just I don't know exactly where this is gonna how it's gonna fit. And like the second episode, and of course we'll talk about all this. But the second episode was kind of like, how do we fit this group of people into like this organizational structure? And I'm like, what? Like nobody has to be the captain here. Like these are just five beings from this, who are all unfortunate, but then they got away. Like we don't have to make one the captain or whatever, but whatever, that's fine. But it is very pretty. I will say that.
Yeah, and and also. And then the caveat, of course, as we'll do anytime we talk about Prodigy, it's a kid's show. We're not going to, needle it to death. But like, as I was thinking about the characters, like to me clearly, and I don't know names yet. I have to look this up. Doll.
Yeah,
Doll.
The list open in front of me.
Doll is clearly like a boy. Not a kid, but a boy. Like, he's like
thinks he knows everything.
14, 15. That's how maybe 16. Whatever. I can't tell you the ages of anyone else, which is not a bad thing. But like, I can't because like even
So Doll is 16.
Okay, that's good. I was close.
Gwen is 17.
Right.
Which one's Gwen?
She's the female or the girl.
The daughter of the diviner.
The prisoner.
Yeah.
The prisoner. Yeah.
The one that looks like the girl from Beyond.
Yeah.
She does look a little bit like the girl.
That's what I keep thinking of when I see.
Jenkem Pog is I think 15 or 16.
See, he strikes me. He could be like 15 to like 50.
Yeah. I thought he was older.
Yeah, I thought so too. That took me off guard. Yeah, and then Rock Talk is 8.
See,
okay,
and because of the voice, I have the cast. I don't have the characters. I have the cast in front of me, and of course, Rock and Doll are the only people that are played by kids. I don't know if Gwen is actually a kid or not. From her photo, she doesn't look that young, but maybe she is. But like Rock, Riley is the voice actor, and she's like, I'm looking at a picture. She's like she's a kid. She's a child, 8 or something. I don't know. But anyway, but you can tell, and I don't know if she's kind of like kidding it up because she's kind of really cranks up to make it a young voice, I think. I don't think she sounds that baby in real life, probably. But I couldn't tell whether that was sort of like a, setting up your expectations. Because, like, again, she could be, it's an alien, because I'm already saying it's she. I don't know what the genders are of these aliens. But, again, could be 8 to 80. I don't know how these species work.
Right. Well, I mean, Jake and Pog's done by, Jason.
Yeah, Mantzoukas. Mantis.
Yeah,
Which
that guy,
I love.
you've seen him in a lot of
Yeah,
things.
I love that guy, but you're right. You hear his voice and you instantly think like 45-year-old crazy hair man.
Yeah.
Like that's what I think.
I didn't think of them all as kids, for sure. Like, most of them were younger, but the Tellarite and the lady Medusan, I thought were, especially her. I was like,
Yeah, I don't know what the
she should be in
Medusan.
charge.
She sounds like an adult, but but that's. I don't think they've said anything about her age.
0.
Yeah, she's 0 years old.
Which, by the way, can I point this out? That is played by a guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't know.
It threw me off too because I don't Angus Emery. And again, I don't have people's genders in front of me, so I mean it's a presenting man. I'll say it that way. Yes.
Yeah, British.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't mean you could tell, but yeah, I thought it was a woman, so I was like, oh, he's definitely doing a job there.
Maybe that's the way they're going. That's how they're defining it as a Medusan without a gender because it's a man playing it, but sounding like I didn't think it was a man based like the vocal actor.
So we've seen the Medusans in
TOS.
Is there in
TOS.
Truth No Beauty?
Yep.
Yeah.
With Dr. Pulaski, by the way.
Oh, that's right. That was that episode. Okay. Yep. So let's just dive into characters. Why not? We've got a
And
Tellarite,
Murph, guys, don't forget Murph.
Yeah.
who of course is
dog,
a
kind of.
fan favorite already.
Yeah, the dog on a skateboard of this series.
Yeah, pretty much. Hey, Murph fired phasers. Murph knows where the buttons are.
He's eating the chair.
Well, I'll say two little things that Lizzie pointed out, which I think is interesting. One is why doesn't the translator translate Murph? And they even asked that, which I'm like, because it's a animal, but whatever.
Hey, Darren, that's so
Speciest.
But then her other thing was why. When are they going to go back and free the little Cation child? She really wants that to happen. And I think a lot of people really want that to happen. I'm like, you
Big eyes.
We've spent the required 2 minutes of screen time with this character, which means we have to go back and save them. Because, so I'm sure that was probably because otherwise, why have that character if you're not going to have a reason to go back to the ship? Because everybody else on the ship,
Because the writers suck.
no. But but there's interesting. Those were her two things that she was curious about coming forward. But yeah, like we were talking about, Daniel, about how Star Warsy it felt. I mean, because one of the things I do like about the show is it's very approachable. I mean, you do not need to know anything about Star Trek to enjoy this show. And I mean, they're introducing the Federation and Star Trek concepts as if you don't know, as if it's a whole new generation of kids. Because think about it, if you're a kid now, unless you've been watching like Discovery, which probably
you haven't.
which you haven't, it's like the last, I mean, like my kids have seen some TNG and TOS and TAS. That's all I've had them watch so far. But it was interesting after this. It made me want to kind of try to pick out a few Voyager episodes now that she's seen Janeway and show her that. I mean, we're not going to watch through the whole show, but I'm sure there'll be some that I think will be fine. But all that to say is this, this is really a new introduction to a new generation, even more so because Lower Decks, we all know, like Lower Decks is made for old fans that are going to get all the references. Like it is not made for brand new kids to get into Star Trek. That is Prodigy's job.
Mm-hmm. Get them while they're young, indoctrinate them while they're.
Yeah, it's interesting. I did like that, like the second episode where Janeway's talking and explaining what the Federation.
It's called a tutorial, Daniel.
Yeah. She's making a new element. She claps her hands together, and then the giant sphere of light, just like Tony Stark.
I thought it was really done well, and actually, you know what? Since we're talking about characters, let's talk about Janeway, because I think so far she's been great. I do have a little bit of problem, and this is just my geek nerd brain, like with the timeline and why is she presented how she's presented and how this even happened. I don't know exactly why why did Janeway become a hologram on a ship that was sent back to the Delta Quadrant? Whatever, those are questions about like the universe. That's fine. But I think Janeway herself, it's kind of neat because unlike Picard, which is a sequel series set 25 years after how we would know Picard, this is a Janeway that is essentially the same Janeway that we've seen in the past.
True.
This is Voyager Janeway. So it's kind of neat to see her again in a way that you wouldn't expect. And I think she's been presented so far really well. I liked her explaining what the Federation is, and she's snarky. She's Janeway-y. So I think, and I know you guys are bigger fans of Janeway than I am, but how do you guys feel about her?
Yeah, it's an interesting, also this type of program, like this, which is a new program we've never seen before, this kind of training hologram, because it's like how often is it going to volunteer information versus just, you feel like it's kind of like on two levels. Like it's kind of like, I know these kids aren't cadets, and obviously the ship is stuck in the Delta Quadrant, but the best way is to just teach them.
It's the Janeway.
It's the Janeway. Well, it's just like Voyager. She's like, hey guys, so I know you probably have your own thing going, but this is going to be a Starfleet crew.
If those kids have provisional ranks by the end of this.
And
So
Murph
somebody
is always
watched-
going to be an ensign.
Somebody watched Red Squad, whatever that episode is.
DS9.
Oh, yeah.
And then they watched Voyager, and they're like, how do we do these two things together? Because I was curious, like, and I assume we'll learn all this stuff in time. We're very early on, but like, what happened to whatever original? It's a crew of cadets.
The Protostar.
Are they going to have like? Are
Well,
they
yeah.
gonna
In
have
fact, there's
dead
nobody on this ship.
No body.
Empty.
Are we going to have like a lost crew on this ship? I assume not. Maybe they'll come in.
I mean, I'm guessing it's going to be some sort of. Well, but
Because the bad guy knows about it and literally knows it's called the Protostar.
They could have beamed off, but I was going to start thinking that they're activating the engine for the first time, and then they all abandoned ship. But all the escape pods are there, so
Not anymore.
And the ship is like landed. It's not even like.
Well, it's burrowed into the middle of the core.
Well, and we were looking at the timeline earlier of if Endgame is not 19. Endgame, when Voyager gets back to Earth, is in 2378, and this first episode takes place 5 years later in 83. So sometime in that span, Janeway gets made into the hologram, put on the Protostar. The Protostar gets lost, and then the Diviner is looking for it. So at most, he's been looking for it for 5 years, at the absolute outer edge of that time window. So.
It's also very interesting to me, like I think in my mind, like what does the Doctor think about Janeway's hologram? Like how, like because at this point in Star Trek canon, holograms are people. They're essentially like the Doctor did all that sort
well,
of. Kind of,
holograms are.
Yeah. Well, yes, of course, but for some reason they put the same.
Minuet
AI
is
on all
still
of them.
zero rights, but
Moriarty's still locked in a cube.
But Moriarty, right? It's so easy to make real AI in Star Trek. So, and apparently it's now very easy to make shuttlecraft.
That was, I have to say, and I don't know what you guys thought, because I could see people see it stupid. That was actually the coolest scene, I thought.
that was really cool.
I did. I thought it was
It's
a
like
cool set piece.
3D printing, sort of like future 3D printing and that explains how Voyager had so many shuttles. They just have one of those.
I did think it was totally bogus how when he said divert all energy to
Well,
the engine.
I loved it.
Taking it.
I love
literally.
that. It's like because if like you're playing like if we were playing like not Bridge Crew, and like
Yeah.
you put all your energy toward.
That's what happens.
My
Your
problem
life
is-
support shuts off. Everything shuts off. Apparently,
My problem is that it shuts off the brig energy.
Okay,
door,
that does seem like a stupid move.
That's
but,
like a really low level, but you can still run the shuttlecraft regenerator or whatever. Like that was my problem with it, but I was like, it was used for a gag and it was fine and it was funny, but it was a great set piece. I liked to see the big rock.
Or she took the energy back because he took all the energy and then after she escaped, she's activated that, so it took energy away.
Because they were like, why is all the energy going to Star Shuttle Replicator?
Right. But I see. This is how I would have designed the brig. If in case of emergency energy failure, steel bars drop over the giant opening.
How barbaric! How 20th century of you.
Yeah, hey, they don't need power, and
They're just
I'm not
there.
trying to be prejudiced against beings with mega strength.
Oh yeah, I mean, and also I like how, because we don't know much about her character, but Rock, I mean, which original name there, but like how she, I mean, if she is a kid, but like she knows her body, like she's still like the body, she's like the muscle. Like, I got it. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. Like, you have this huge thing going, I'm gonna get you. You're like, I don't know how to feel about this.
My goal is to keep Gwen in her cell, and I'm totally capable of doing that.
Because, like, with people falling into roles, like, I mean, obviously, Jankum Pog, which is helpful because he always says his name. I like that in a character.
Yeah, sure, that is. Who's the first character you learn?
Jankum
Pog. He keeps saying it over and over.
Because I mean, he's clearly the engineer. I mean, that's what he's going to be. Tick.
Yeah.
I guess Rock is security. I mean, And so, and I don't know what Zero, other than just
Zero's kind of operations.
Operations.
She's the pilot.
Yeah.
Science.
Everything, basically.
I think Gwen is going to be science.
Number one.
You think so? I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, when
I'm
she
not sure
eventually
will be the captain, maybe. I don't know.
And Murph is acting ensign Murph.
I think runs the tin forward for this place, or
I don't know. I mean,
Barber.
Murph a whole bunch. Barber. Hey, so far he's fired phasers. He's done a lot.
He is. I mean, he's cute. He is. But so yeah, that kind of brings it to what do we think of the ship? Because this is a new ship, but it's very small.
This fine ship, this fine crew.
Because it reminds me a little bit of the. So I was trying to think of the name of the Picard ship. Serena. It's Mermaid. I know. El Serena. La Serena. La
Sienna.
Which is probably bigger than the Protostar, but it's about the same. Because the bridge kind of makes me think of the same kind of control center.
I mean, it's nice. It's not giant. Like, it's obviously Intrepid inspired. Like, we all see that, for sure. But, it's a nice shape. I like the loading, bay in the front and the way they did the deflector is kind of that swoosh. It's a really pretty ship. Like, I really like the design.
Yeah, it's interesting to me, though, that, and again, just as a Star Trek nerd, but like the bridge itself is essentially, it's not just the same size as regular bridges, it's pretty spread out, but it's essentially the ship is very small, only can fit it's probably like captain's yacht size, but the bridge itself is so big it feels like it's bigger than
it's bigger than the captain's yacht.
It's like 3 decks, I don't know, or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would guess it's like the size, the whole ship, including the cells, is probably like the
bigger than a runabout.
Voyager's like saucer part. Something like that. I think
the Protostar is smaller than the Defiant.
Really? I don't know.
I think so. The Defiant has like 11 decks or something like that.
You're right. I mean, I'm not. Yeah.
No, the Defiant. Well, okay. The Defiant. No. It's funny because there's like 2 cross sections of the Defiant. Like one has like 8 decks and one has 4, and it's like,
all right.
but which give you very different.
Sure.
Yeah,
definitely. I do think maybe it's not, but
it's small.
Okay.
It's small.
Here's the thing: you can hear the people on the bridge from the brig, so I think it's small enough that
it's thin walls.
I don't know what that was about. I mean, of course, it's just for the story, but 2 warp cores and something big in the middle. whatever that is.
We don't know yet. I like how they're dripping it. We don't know.
We don't know,
okay.
but you assume it's for the
someone
the propulsion
showed like
system.
a graphic that says it's the
Ridiculous speed.
it's the proto core and the proto engine.
Okay.
Everything's called proto.
Sure. Okay.
In this and the Protostar. So yeah, it's the engine that makes the third. It's the zoom. Engine.
Actually, I didn't notice. Is it an NX class?
Yes, it is. It is.
So it's a Protostar class.
It is a prototype. Protostar.
Okay, all right, that's fair.
Into the proto quadrant. New quadrant I just
With the proto crew.
Interesting. Okay. Well, what else? What else you guys want to bring up?
Well,
We talked about the crew.
I couldn't figure out, and I mean this is not a complaint. I couldn't figure out in the latest adventure when Jane was showing the map, like, oh, and you all want to go to Federation? They're like, no, or dolls like that, no. But he's like, the big red dot. I'm like, look, everyone's going to choose the big red dot. I don't know why you've made it a dying star that we should go to. But everyone's going to choose the big red. I thought
It's the red dot, so you know red bad. Don't go there.
I thought it was going to be something interesting or something like you were detecting something, not like, that's just the Death Star.
I don't want to peg Prodigy with this too early, but I'm starting to get echoes of Burnham, and then in Lower Decks we had now I can't remember her character's name. Mariner, and now this new guy.
Doll.
What's his name? Doll. It's all the same character. Like, I'm gonna go forward and damn the consequences.
Except Doll's grossly incompetent.
That's true.
You could argue.
No, he is. Yeah.
No, he is. No, he absolutely is. Nobody should listen to him. I don't know why.
Mariner is God level competent, and we don't understand why.
Yeah. Yes. That's fair, but it feels like they're on the same plot trajectory of character development. Like, oh, I need to learn to be humble and ask for help or whatever this is. Like, I feel like we've seen this before. I just don't want to do this again. Like, why can't he just be fine with asking for help? Whatever. That's fine. We'll get to it. I'm sure.
But also, again, they need to have him he needs somewhere to grow. He can't just start out as a full-fledged, I've always been the leader of my group friends, and these are actually already my friends, and we already are friends, and we already work together, and then it's like, well, then there's nowhere to go in the show. Yeah. So I see what you're saying, Daniel, and I do agree.
I give
it more leeway, though, just because of this type of show.
That's fine. I mean, and not that I'm saying it's the same, but if we're doing parallels, like Mariner, he has a secret, or at least a mystery. He's introduced as an unknown species. Now, whether he's hiding it, he knows, or he's an orphan, or he's the last of his species, or he's going to meet his people. We don't know. But that's sort of one of the mysteries that they've introduced early on.
I did like that in the pilot, the way they controlled the prisoners was not having universal translators. I'm like, that's actually really smart, because if they can't talk, they
old
bell.
Tower of Babylon trick.
Yeah.
Although you do think it would be interesting, maybe not even as a Star Trek story, but I'm sure there are stories of people communicating, even though their language, their actual spoken language, isn't common. They can probably find a way to communicate. Anyways,
you'd get lots of tribalism too. You'd have species of the same kind would group together naturally because they can understand each other.
And since he's the only one of this species, he's the loner.
That's true. That's true.
Do we know what? Okay, so we saw
Jacob
some
Hogg understands.
we saw
magic.
We saw some Kazon.
Yeah.
We saw a Kazon.
We don't know what Doll is.
No.
We know the Medusans. We know the Tellarites. Although I am a little interested to learn if we ever get to learn how he got.
That's an Alpha Quadrant species, obviously. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm not sure how that worked, but Rock Talk is just a big rock.
It's the thing. Oh wait. Oh, I don't know.
It is. I
don't think Rock Talk I don't think we've seen.
What about the girl, the daughter of the bad
Diviner and Gwen?
Well, supposedly it's just her and her dad are the last two.
Okay.
At least that's what he says. because he's the bad guy and totally trustworthy. But she is a Valnikat.
God bless you.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's a whole interesting thing too. Of he's looking for the Protostar for some reason, and he obviously has like an ulterior motive, and he obviously eventually it seems like his daughter's gonna have to take over whatever he's doing because he's,
it's a Gamora situation.
Yeah.
It is. That is true.
His daughter, who he keeps calling his progeny, which sounds just like
super
Prodigy.
relatable.
Prodigy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
gotta teach kids what that word means.
I like when they do big bads in Star Trek. I generally I'm less interested. Generally, this is like, okay, this guy is just
but it's her dad. That's the angle.
Yeah.
And we can all see the writing on the wall. Her turning around and having that choice episode where she has to choose to not go back with him. And is Dreadlock her brother? Because he's like a robot.
he was cool.
General Grievous? Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah, pretty much.
I liked him way better. I thought he was more interesting of a character than the actual bad guy. I don't know. I hope he sticks around.
It's saying he's an artificial life form, so he was probably made by the Diviner. I like their sibling rivalry. Like, he basically is her brother. I love her little, that's 10 for me and 2 for you, and keeping track. But he goes all full Grievous, and that's what we learned. Don't jump away from the ship because they might turn on the shields at that exact moment. Fill up the shield juice.
I thought it was whether we think it's real or not. I did like the shields, when it came up and it separated him, Dahl and him. I thought that worked.
Yeah. A couple moments in Prodigy are really cool and really like I said before, I think it's a really pretty show. Yeah. Like, the animation is very, very, very well done. It doesn't feel like it's like a Nickelodeon show. It kind of feels almost movie-like.
And the bridge having all that windows. I mean, we're not going to be staring at a screen and the screen is just showing star streaks. It's like, no, we're going to feel like we're in a colorful galaxy in this world. We're going to see all of that.
Yeah.
I was thinking more about what you guys said about the darkness of the beginning, and probably why I don't register it as much as I think of more like another Nickelodeon show like Avatar, The Last Airbender, which dealt with a lot of adult themes like war, incarceration, like all these. There's a lot of stuff it deals with, but it's also a kid's show. So I think this is more in line of that, where it's dealing with slavery, and I mean they straight up say like, you thought we were bad guys and we deserved it, and it's like, no, we're kidnapped and enslaved. You're on the wrong side of this. But yeah, I think that can totally be in a kids program. I don't think it needs to be. I want my Star Trek to be at least Avatar level of storytelling, because that's, I think, a great told story. Just put it in the stars. So. And I'm looking forward to that.
I'm enjoying the next episode. I have no hints, but I hope that is cadet training. Day one.
Kobayashi Maru simulation. That would be really cool.
I have heard that it's difficult to pass the Kobayashi Maru if you don't know how to turn the ship left or right.
Jacob Pog will figure it out.
Other left.
I to your point, Darren, I liked the tension between Rock Talk and the daughter lady. Like, she's like, we were there for years, man. Like,
yeah.
Why didn't you?
Yeah. It's like, I'm not letting you off the hook, lady. Like, I didn't know. Does it count?
I was just following orders.
Yeah. So I mean, that's a cool avenue to explore that, because if they've been exploited for all this labor, like, obviously you would have some issues. Okay. So where do we think things are going? Obviously, the big writing on the wall, of course, is, like you said, Darren, is the choice between father and daughter, like whatever that conflict is.
Right.
But it's interesting to me, like, because the Star Trek part of the show, the Janeway, Protostar, like, aspect element of the show is so like secondary. Like it's so like
Yeah.
on the outskirts. It's just window dressing in a lot of ways.
Which I think makes a lot of sense for not dumping you in the deep end of Star Trek.
yeah.
Like it makes sense because we now know kind of what the Federation is, kind of what this ship is, and we'll slowly dull that out. But I don't expect them to rendezvous with another Federation ship for a while. Like,
Ever.
They got to figure out their own.
Well,
We know Chakotay's coming, so I don't know how that works.
maybe in the.
He's going to only going to be on the screen
Well,
the entire time.
I was going to spit this one out. Maybe he's like the training program. Like, there's Hollow Janeway, but she's kind of running the ship. I mean, she's not, but you know what I mean. But,
Maybe
she'll like.
And then then all the shippers are going to be like, well, why is Janeway and Chakotay paired in their
Can you
training
imagine?
duties?
Can you imagine if they just kept teasing these people by just having the holograms like giving each other flirty eyes and stuff?
Should we get do you want us out of the, we can leave, Well, no, Darren, you know what's going to happen is they're training.
Meet you on the holodeck Chakotay.
They'll start their training, but they'll give them a choice. You can either do things the Starfleet way or the Maquis way.
What were you saying, Philip, though? Or is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
The Philip way? Yeah. Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe my guess with Chakotay is he's going to be our liaison on the Federation side. He's going to be that one person we intercut with.
Captain Chakotay.
Who's either looking for the Protostar or he's coming at the problem from the other direction, from the Federation side.
Because I feel like, and I don't know where I've absorbed this, that is Captain Chakotay. I don't know why I feel that's true.
I don't think I've heard anything on that point.
I want to say yes. I don't know why I think that, but
I think it would be more interesting if when he got back to the Alpha Quadrant, if he just retired, like right there, and never became a captain. I think I'd be
Scholar
more.
Chakotay.
Yeah, like he would be like.
Chakotay.
well,
I feel like he'd be a professor or something.
he would have gotten Voyager because Janeway got Admiral. We know that.
Well, did somebody get Voyager, or is it just used for like
I mean,
museum ship.
it's full of Borg parts. That's gonna be a great ship.
A blade of
That's
armor.
what I mean. You wouldn't put it in an active role. You'd disassemble it and like learn things about the Delta Quadrant from it.
They're like, guys, we can make amazingly long struts now between our saucers and our warp nacelles based on this new Borg technology.
Yeah. So, do you guys want? So, I think you're right, Darren. I think maybe the intention here is introduction to Star Trek through this show.
Yeah.
So, do we want a lot of that stuff, or is this just like not the vehicle for it? Is this just not the show for it? Do we want it always kind of in the background? Maybe an episode or like a season or something, or like
it's introducing the principles of Star Trek. That's the thing. Like you said, like friendship and working together, and all of that in the framework of we're in the galaxy that we know and the time that we know. But yeah, it's definitely not like, well, here's the captain and here we're on the starship and here's everyone's in Federation uniforms and and I doubt we're ever going to see this crew all in Federation uniforms like now we're part of Starfleet. Like that doesn't make sense. Like that's not this journey.
yeah.
And I don't even know if they can get back. Well, one, would they even want to go to where the Federation is? Because that's not their home. I'm assuming their home is in the Delta Quadrant. And I maybe it's gonna. We won't really know until we know more about the Protostar's engine. Is it like transwarp where it can?
It's mushroom based.
Yeah, it's like you want to be in the Alpha Quadrant tomorrow. Sure, no problem. Just push the button. Like, is that possible? I don't know.
And there really isn't, and this is not a criticism, but there isn't a mission for the kids yet. I mean, like,
Right.
Much like kids.
Except for stay away from the diviner.
Well, I mean, much like real children, they just want to be independent and free, and they got that in the first episode. And then now what? And so now what? I mean, and you're right, because none of them seem to want to go home, and maybe it's because they all were,
or maybe they don't even know where their home is.
Yeah, and maybe their families have been, kid show. So, and so I think it's sort of very open-ended, and from a storytelling point of view, they have no want. They have no journey. They have no desire yet other than not here. And so it'll be interesting whether through this training they gain that curiosity to, well, let's explore. Because at least with Gwen and Dahl, and I don't know the rest of them, they've never been in space, or they're not familiar with, being out in space. And so we'll see if the journey of exploration bug bites them.
Yeah, it is interesting. Like, they've already had kind of discussions and disagreements on, like, oh, do we want to do this? And Dahl is, I think, rightfully probably cynical. He's like, no, somebody at the top is just taking advantage of someone down below. Like, what?
The man.
No different than what we've seen. And you get both sides of it. I think it's, again, it's pretty multifaceted for what amounts to a children's show. And so I'm interested to see where they go. I'm worried that it's a little, it right now it kind of feels a little listless, but maybe that's intentional. And I like the fact that Janeway is essentially like a babysitter. Like, she's like kind of trying to corral everybody without making it obvious that she's corralling these people. She's like, okay, now what mess do I need to clean up? Like,
she's just setting like the I don't know, it's a very Arby term, the left and right limits.
Yeah,
they can go anywhere else in the middle, but she's gonna be like, okay, you gotta stay over here.
See, this is what I want to have happen. I want to have the Kazon captain come back and Yondu style take the Cation under his wing instead of delivering him to the diviner, and he grows up and becomes the new Star-Lord.
Oh. For a second you were going Mandalorian there for a little bit.
No, I just was thinking similarities with, the Kazon delivering basically children to fulfill some sort of slave quota.
Yeah, any kid's show.
Yep.
Human trafficking. Look it up, kids.
Yeah. So
well, we saw I think one of Morton's species as well.
Oh, did we?
I think on the surface in the spacesuits there was one, or there's definitely one that was brain melted by the Medusan in that
could have been
flashback
Morn,
scene.
For all we know.
Well, it could have been. I guess.
Poor Morn. All right. Well, that was. Let's do this real quick. Let's say if you can separate the pilot from the second episode in your mind, what would you give it? Rating 1 to 10.
Oh,
I know it's tough.
It's really hard because it's like, what are we rating against?
It's fine.
All other Star Trek.
Star Trek pilots. How do we think? Okay, we don't have to give it a
as a
number.
pilot, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
And it's very hard because most of them haven't had pilots, but.
Well, the first episodes, yeah.
Yeah, which is. I would say in the 21st, in the Kurtzman era, I would say 8.
Oh, okay.
I think, what kind of ruins it? I mean, and this is stupid to say this, but what ruins it is that you just have Janeway in the last 5 seconds. You're like, that's what I was promised. I mean, obviously, she's in the rest of the show, but you're kind of like, I wanted to see her more. But it's all about setting up the characters. But anyway, 8.
All right. Darren, what about you?
Yeah, I'd give it an 8 as well. I think for this show, it set it up really well. We know a lot of the a lot of the main characters, we know their desires. Not specifically, but we know kind of where they're wanting to go and do. And I feel within the first 4 episodes or so, we'll have it much more locked down. We're still missing big pieces of the story, like the Diviner's ultimate plan, what the Protostar was, how did it get there. And once those kind of things fall into place and we know more about what the characters want, I think it'll all make sense. But it doesn't not make sense now. It's just we're on the ride. We want to know what happens next. So I think I did a good job establishing, especially for a brand new, or especially for a show that is aimed at bringing in new children viewers to Star Trek. I think it did a great job of introducing that world.
Yep. I'd give it a little bit less than you guys. I'd give it like a 7 maybe. I think it was a little dull. The first episode kind of dragged for me. I felt like a really long, and it didn't really establish too terribly much, but once they got onto the ship, I think it worked really well. And like you said, it kind of established a lot. So we'll see what goes on in the future. I was just thinking while you were talking, Darren, like maybe they find like a captain's log, and whoever was captain of the Protostar was
Chakotay.
I don't know. Could be
Funny. That's good. I like that.
Yeah,
see-
it could be. You know.
Well, in talking about it dragging, though, I bet you that.
Oh, God. Now the fact that he had a hollow Janeway is just a different hole that I feel, too.
I insist if I go back into the Delta Quadrant, I want Janeway with me.
I mean, do you really need her guidance? You were her first officer for like 7 years. Like, no, I really need the hollow Janeway command.
Well, what I was going to say is,
Seven's off with the car.
I think because it's like 45 minutes is a long time for that pilot. I think that's just a byproduct of the fact that with Nickelodeon, you have this is the standard 22-minute half-hour show times 2, and that's what you get. So if it had been fully non-tied to broadcast media at all, I think they would have pared it down into maybe like a 35-minute. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that's just an unfortunate byproduct of we have to fill this time, and they could have trimmed it a little bit if they didn't have that. Because I don't know if it's going to get broadcast on Nickelodeon at some point, but it felt like, especially with the other second, third episode being just 22, which is standard half-hour broadcast. So that's my guess.
and as I gaze into my crystal ball here, I see that there are a planned 10 episodes, but of course that's including the first episode
So
as
9.
2 episodes. So really, there are 9 episodes. We get our last episode on the 23rd of December, so right before Christmas.
December wing.
Yeah,
So
we
then
get
Christmas, so they're going to get shrunk by Q and put in a giant tree and...
I will say I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes and like what the story is that they're trying to tell, and of course, seeing Janeway is fun, and I look forward to Chakotay and however they incorporate him. I think that'll be interesting. So, onward and upward, and very soon, very 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 soon is Discovery. Does anybody know?
Yeah, it's in 2 weeks. It's a week and a half from now.
Okay. So we're going to have to be starting to do dual reviews at this point.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Let's just let it run for a month, and then
We'll be like, all right, guys, talked about new Trek, so about Prodigy. I know.
But here's the thing. If you think about it, the opportunity to do dual episode reviews has not been a thing since
true.
DS9 Voyager. That's kind of crazy that we're in that position. So
True.
it is a embarrassment of riches, I suppose. But anyways, we're looking forward to some more Prodigy, and then there's also other things happening. So, Philip, if people wanted to find you on whatever side of the Atlantic that you're on, how would they get a hold of you?
They can find me at ncpublicservant.uk.co.
And Darren, if
too,
people wanted to, Darren, if people wanted to find you at plus or minus room temperature, how would they get a hold of you?
They can find me drsci-fi.com, DRSCIFI. And what about you, Daniel? If someone wanted to find you and
They can find me on Twitter. Oh, go ahead.
And talk about the Prodigy video game. I'm sure we're going to get where it's a click.
It would be, it'd be awesome.
The ship, like the old style where you got to like go through the screens.
That'd be interesting. All right, I'm for it. You can find me on Twitter as well, at OneUpDan. That's the number 1, not the word. All right, and for this week, I'm Daniel Prue.
I'm Philip Gilfus.
I'm Darren Moser.
Somehow stranded again in the Delta Quadrant for SETI Alpha 3.